My next guest penned a really interesting and provocative piece of research over the weekend titled Crisis and Opportunity, How to Trade Amidst Market Turmoil and Political Upheaval. Joining me now, Belpointe Chief Strategist David Nelson. David, so we have two things right now. The return of rate cuts, right? That feels like it's imminent. And of course, a greater probability of former President Trump returning to the White House. Before we even get to the nitty-gritty of that, the lessons you've learned with respect to dealing with the inevitable volatility that comes with these things.
I came into the weekend, wanting to focus on the rotation trade that took place last week. And of course, all of that got turned upside down on Saturday. And I look at the markets today, and yes, the market is pricing in almost 100% probability we're going to get a Fed cut in September. As a matter of fact, Goldman, I think, is out saying that July is live at this point. But I look at the marketplace, and there's a lot of things going on, a lot of opportunity that's going on. And I think what we're seeing is almost, going all the way back to, 2016, very similar trading that we saw back then.
So then let's talk about that, because I started the show talking about the fact that as much as we've talked about the outperformance of the Mag 7 and whether it's against equal weight or Russell or whatever, it's still not necessarily a cheap market, right? So this for the overall market, your forward PE ratio is relatively high. How are you finding? I mean, it seems incumbent upon, because I know you're a value guy for the most part, right? Don't you look? Are you looking for? How do you find do you have to find value here?
Well, growth is the most expensive when there isn't any. And the idea that rate cuts are going to come, the market is starting to price in that we're going to be able to go down the valuation curve and find some growth at a cheaper price. And I'm willing to pay up for growth. I'm happy to do that, but it's got to be sustainable.
Would you start buying tech names that are unprofitable?
That's not really my bailiwick. It's not really where I live. All the names that I own are profitable in some sense. Even some of the most expensive names. NVIDIA is a very, very profitable company, maybe more expensive than the market, but it's justified.
All right, let's talk about the Trump trade. It expresses itself in many ways.
Yeah, it does.
You say on the financials, definitely as a Trump, you want to be in financials. Why would they benefit from a President Trump?
This is probably, the energy is probably the most obvious, but financials. For GM, the regulatory environment under Trump is going to change dramatically. It's going to be 180 degrees polar opposite. You're going to see a lot of M&A. That's going to come back. The Biden administration has clamped down on almost any merger that took place. So M&A activity will pick up. You talked about the yield curve steepening. That's certainly good news, for financials. Look even to credit card companies, Synchrony, Capital One and others.
American Express, you've got there, JP Morgan.
Yeah, that's my largest.
Ford, GM, of course, the energy trade, like you said, is essentially.
This one is the most obvious for me because any rational view of a greener society has to include fossil fuels.
Bottom line.
Bottom line.
Or not just a cleaner, a profitable, prosperous society, right? Hey, we got 30 seconds to go. I want to talk about your picks. All right, everyone kind of knows Apple.
Yeah.
They got 2 upgrades, maybe 1 downgrade today. KD is a new one. I don't know KD.
That's a new one. That's a spin-off from IBM. And this was really poorly managed under IBM. A lot of unprofitable contracts. Those contracts are rolling over. Now you've got a company that is trading at about 11 times forward earnings. It's an infrastructure play in technology. 11 times forward earnings, just going free cash flow positive. It fits in with the smaller cap thesis. And, what I had to do is look at my portfolio, and maybe what I'm selling is just as important as what I have to buy because I come in fully invested. I've got to sell something.
Right.
So I've had to trim back some of these names in the large cap space.
Right. I got you. Good stuff, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Talk. We've been through some of those ups and downs.
Ups and downs a lot.